earlier the term toxic masculinity was used. So I was wondering if there's a distinction between toxic masculinity and toxic femininity. And are those two things different from, let's say, toxic humanity and dark triarchy?
Tristan, thank you for the question. I believe you were talking about toxic masculinity. If you would answer the question, and then Rollo, if you have a follow-up. Sure.
I was a little bit nervous about using that term because I know how heavy
Tristan
it is.
wanted to know.
Yeah, but I think that toxic femininity and toxic masculinity are like the manifestation of toxicity when you are too wary, I guess, of the opposite sex, and you become almost hateful towards them. So toxic femininity, women saying, "I don't need no man, I don't need this, I'm a boss bitch," or whatever. Like, and then with men, it's is my woman doesn't need to talk. She's just gonna be, she just needs to look pretty and clean my house.
Beautiful.
So
when you don't
both of those are stupid.
It's too much of one way or the other, is what you're saying. Do you have a follow-up for this?
Steel Panther song for that.
That's what I think, but I'm no expert.
No, so toxic masculinity is bullshit. That's number one.
Bullshit, why?
Well, there's only masculinity, and there's aspects of masculinity that are convenient to women and that are inconvenient to women. So it's if a guy is fluffing his chest and, like, full of bravado and stuff, you might want to see that on the basketball court. You might want to see that in sports. You might want to see that if your life is in danger and somebody's like posting up on him and the guy can fight, right? Oh, is that toxic? Well, it depends. Is your life in danger? Then I guess it's not toxic. It's only toxic masculinity until the floodwaters start rising and you need people to come, you need FEMA to come and pick you up, right? Yeah. So there's aspects of masculinity that are quote unquote toxic, but those are the ones that are inconvenient to the imperatives or the purposes of for a female mindset, right? So in a gynocentric feminine primary social order, we have terms like toxic masculinity, and it always defines the same masculine dynamic that women got no use for at that particular time until they do have a use for it. So it's toxic it's toxic masculinity until you need the firemen to go into the burning building and grab the baby out of there before it burns up and bring it out of the building. That's the same toxic masculinity that these guys on Jackass have and they express when they go and do some really dangerous, stupid stunt, right? If this comes from the same place, it's just contextualized differently. If women have a use for it, then it's not toxic. If they don't have a use for it, then, oh man, I can't believe guys are all dogs and pigs like that. Because it plays well, and again, it gets clicks and it gets eyes on the screen if you're going to go and use terms like that. So femininity as well. Toxic femininity. What do I have that's are you female? Are you feminine? Are you young? Or do you meet what I need? Or what's the toxic version of that? Well, you don't need anything I have that you don't need a man. I asked this last night on Fresh and Fit. I asked this one girl, I said, do you need a man? No, I don't need no man, but I want a man, right? It's like, well, men who aren't needed by you, they're not going to be, they want to be needed. There's that. You talk about how there's complements to one another, how that men and women are better together than they are apart. That comes from need, not from want.
I think they need to feel needed.
Yes.
I think women in general, generalizing, should understand that when they're with a male partner, it's important that they make them feel needed, even if they don't need them. Just to communicate, like, that's
pandering, though. That's contrivance. Is what
I don't think that it's.
Oh, it's okay. I need you.
No, it's not. If I'm having a really, really hard day, and that's the person that I need to talk to, I could survive if I didn't speak to him or if he didn't, give me a back massage.
But see, you don't need him then.
Well, of course.
There's a fine line between
if you're
wants and needs.
If you're asking me, would I survive for the rest of my life without a man? The answer is yes, I would. Would it fulfill me? Would it make me a happy human being? No. So it would be a recipe for an unhappy life.
On some level of consciousness, there's a need for that guy then.
There's a need so that my well-being will be met. My well-being needs will be met.
Okay. And I also he's an accessory then.
Tyler,
I feel like you're putting words in my mouth.
Hold on, there's more.
Hold on. We got more calls.
Can I also say just one last thing? The definition of toxic masculinity that you gave, I think it was different than what I was describing. So if I can just say, maybe I wasn't using the correct terminology.
No one can define it. I just did a video on this. They asked a bunch of university students. Okay. There is no definition.
All right, well, Tristan, there you go.